Hiya, it's Emma from the Debutante blog here. I thought I'd catch up with everyone and just have a chat about our current situation and how we shouldn't forget about other things that are happening in the world, including supporting sustainable fashion. This week it was reported that high street fashion brands were losing money due to a lack of sales and a lack of people attending their shops, I guess. And in the light of Fashion Revolution Week, which has just, this is the last day of at the moment, I'd like to just chat about supporting sustainability in fashion and slowing down. Fashion Revolution was started up after the Rana Plaza fashion disaster that happened in Bangladesh in 2013 in support of garment workers and the conditions that they're working in. Over 1,000 people died, garment workers died in the disaster. For supporting fast fashion and making garments for high street brands that we all know and used to love. Fashion Revolution call out all the members of the fashion industry to become more transparent and to support everybody from the people that work in their offices right through to the garment makers in the factories, and to know who is making their garments with their campaign, Who Made Your Clothes. I find it quite shocking that it's still, sustainable fashion still has quite a stigma attached to it, that to support sustainable and slow fashion is to be a hippie or someone who just wants to wear old rags. It's actually Fashion Revolution and Labour behind the label, and all of these fashion activists actually love fashion. And I think it is that what people don't realise is that we are just trying to change the way the industry currently runs and slow things right down. You do not have to be from a certain lifestyle to support Fashion Revolution and support sustainable fashion and slow fashion. So I'm just going to start a few ways on how you could support it yourself. You've already started to support sustainability with recycling and things like that, and fashion is just as similar. To support slow fashion is not to hate fashion, it is just to consider where your clothes came from, who made your clothes, and to make wiser decisions on when you need to buy new clothes and perhaps how you could use the clothes that you already have rather than buying something new. The first thing to do is to look at your own wardrobe. There's mine behind me. I have a lot of clothes. I'm a bit of a hoarder. I have a lot of clothes because I used to be addicted to fast fashion. I personally haven't bought anything from the high street probably for about half a year. And before that, it's been filtering out for a long time. It's brilliant for those of us who quite easily just cut out fast fashion altogether, or cut out fashion altogether. But it is actually a real struggle that people really have to start looking at their wardrobes differently. And if you are a fashion lover, you should also be quite a creative person, I guess, who could perhaps use their own wardrobe to recreate looks rather than having to buy something new all the time or get the latest drop. So how can you use your own wardrobe to become more sustainable and supporting slow fashion? So first of all, you can rework your wardrobe. By that, I don't just mean taking your clothes apart and making new things, which I would encourage you to try if you feel brave enough, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. One thing I would say is to just start looking at your clothes and just wearing them differently. Start matching different things up together that you never have before, and you may be quite surprised about what you find in your wardrobe that you can completely rework and just create something brand new from something you've had lurking in your wardrobe for a long time. Upcycling does scare some people. I personally have quite a big attachment to some of my clothes, so I feel terrified at the idea occasionally to take something apart and make something new out of it. But I think if it has been sat in your wardrobe a rather long time, then maybe the personal attachment isn't quite as much as you think it is because you haven't worn it. But if you really don't like the idea of upcycling, you could actually ask a local tailor or maker to do it for you. Here in Bristol, we have Jacoto Tailoring, who are this lovely independent little shop, and they can upcycle, they can mend, they can do things, recreate a garment from some fabric you found from scratch. Another thing is you could use old fabrics, and create shapes that you really love that already exist in your wardrobe. That's just the start of it, really. But also there are loads of upcycling blogs and YouTubes and Insta profiles just to get you inspired, and just give it a go. Start off with upcycling a t-shirt and just see where it goes. Of course, another great way to support sustainability in slow fashion is to stop buying new and start buying pre-loved garments from charity shops or clothes swaps, not shops, and also vintage, obviously. Places like Depop are great for finding some real exciting gems, and they're sold just by independent people who've just started their own little shop from trying to save garments that nobody else wants. And there is nothing wrong with supporting that, because at least these garments have not been made from scratch, they already exist. So as well as supporting independents who sell vintage clothing, and of course charity shops, because then the money goes to a charity, which is brilliant. You can also support independent and local makers. So some local makers obviously don't, they make their garments from scratch. So maybe that doesn't sound quite sustainable as slow as you think. But actually, every independent designer that I've ever met creates a very, very small range of garments to sell. And they don't then make, they don't make any more until they sell these ranges. And so there's none of this weekly drop or even spring collection, winter collection, that kind of things going out of the window as well. So do support local. Yes, if it's been handmade, it is going to be a little more expensive than the churned out fast fashion from Primark, but I think you'll find that it will last so much longer, and so much care has gone into it, and you know who's made your garments too. One massive tip that I can't share enough is to stop following trends. Why are you still following trends? It just seems so kind of dated almost now, instead of seeming fresh and, oh, I must have this next big thing. The big thing now is to be sustainable and to recreate your own looks from garments that you already own. Or by wearing independent or vintage clothes, of course, and mixing them all together. I'm not saying you have to make your own pants, but you know, it's that everything is slow, and so you just start slowing down on the amount you're consuming and just become more creative yourself. You don't need to follow those damn trends, and who is making them up anyway? And talking of pants, it's kind of led me on to my next point, which is about Labour Behind the Labels' latest fashion activism campaign. Basically, Labour Behind the Label, who you may or may not know, they ran the 6 item challenge that I took part in earlier this year, and actually was still doing when I started in lockdown, so that was pretty mad. But so it's a great campaign. Basically, Labour Behind the Label is raising money and awareness to support garment workers, not just in other countries, but in the UK too. And the reason I say pants is not because their campaign is pants, but it reminds me of one of the fashion independents that are actually refusing to cooperate with this current campaign that they're running. The campaign is to ask all corporate brands and any fashion brands to take care of all of their workers, not just the people in their head office and their designers, not just the people that are working in their shops all around the world, but the actual people that are making their clothes. Many of these people who are making garments for many of the fashion labels, including Topshop, Boohoo, Primark, Next, and Marks and Spencer's. That's where the pants link comes in, because loads of people still buy their pants from Marks and Spencer's. So these Marks and Spencer's aren't as transparent as you think, certainly neither of the others I've just mentioned. These brands have all refused to get involved and to cooperate to let Labour Behind the Label know who their fashion chain and supply chain, and which means many of their workers are currently working in the COVID-19 pandemic, and they are not giving a damn about that. The fact that they're not cooperating certainly makes them sound guilty. So what I'm asking you to do is to support Labour Behind the Label's current campaign. You can get the link in their bio on their Instagram page. So it's Labour Behind the Label. And all they want you to do is sign a petition and start calling out these shops and high street giants that are refusing to cooperate and to care for the workers that are making the clothes that you are wearing. So you can get involved. It's quite easy to just start supporting slow fashion slowly. Consider buying pre-loved garments. Consider reusing your existing wardrobe. You can create, if you must still follow trends, you can recreate trends using your actual wardrobe. Everybody owns basic shirts, jackets, t-shirts, dresses. And I think with a little bit of imagination, you can certainly recreate a lot of the looks that are currently happening. I want you to check out Fashion Revolution and look at the things they're doing and support them and get involved with their challenges and things, because there's lots going on all the time that you can be supporting and just sharing information so other people start supporting slow fashion too. And of course, supporting Labour Behind the Label's challenge and signing their petition and calling out these corporate giants who apparently are not selling enough on the high street at the moment. I mean, even that freaks me out, because obviously they're going to have loads and loads of garments that have been made and they're not selling them. And how many garments have they made, and what are going to happen to these garments? Because of course they still follow seasonal trends, so they're not just going to keep them for next summer or next winter. They are probably going to get rid of those clothes and they will just end up in landfill. So please help, please get involved, support sustainable fashion, and stay safe whilst you're in lockdown, and we can get through this together, and stay sassy and stylish. And one last thing, please follow my blog. It's no-debutante.blogspot.com. The link is in my bio on my Insta page, and thanks for listening.